Welcome everyone to the Connect Fit Pro Broker Masterclass. This is something that has been on my mind for like way too long, and I'm so happy to be here today to be able to present these ideas to you all. Because in anything we do, fitness business wise, getting the most bang for our buck from a time perspective, I think is extremely important. So when we think about selling in the workplace wellness setting, we want to make sure that we're only talking to companies that are qualified to do business with us. That means they have to have like a wellness budget. In my experience, like getting a company who has no wellness program at all to somehow just like start one up and us come as the hero to rescue them is not the quickest way to a sale. So we'll dive more into that. And really, I want you all to have like a really clear strategy on how to get referrals in the workplace wellness setting. And this may be a new concept for you. So that's what we're breaking down is like kind of the ins and outs on how it's worked for my business and how I can see it working for your all's business too. So just some background on today's session. In 2016, I was in a coaching group with Greg Justice and Art McDermott. And one of the weeks, our action item was to connect with health insurance brokers. And I didn't know what the heck that meant. So I literally was here on a Zoom with Greg Justice, and he's like, you know what, Drew, we're gonna find health insurance brokers in your market. So my market is Phoenix, and we got on Google and we searched for like 5 different health insurance brokers. And to give you all some context, a health insurance broker is someone who sells insurance to people, obviously. And the ones that we want to connect with are group health insurance brokers. So here in Arizona, by law, companies with 50 or more employees have to offer health insurance. And a broker is someone who has access to those major carriers. So in workplace wellness, the major carriers are Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, and United. So a broker's job is to say, hey, client, I'm going to go on the marketplace, look at those 4 different plans, put them together for you, and then help you all make an educated decision on which one to purchase. And also what that broker needs to do when they're working with their clients is get them a wellness fund. So if you're a business owner of a company of 100 employees and you want to sign up for United Healthcare, your broker is going to go on your behalf and negotiate a wellness fund for you. Typically, I've seen those wellness funds start as low as $5,000 per year. And I've seen it go all the way up to $100,000 per year. We have a client here locally who has roughly 400 employees, and they get $100,000 per year gifted to them from Blue Cross Blue Shield to do wellness activities. And that's where we come in, right? We're like the wellness providers for businesses. And like I shared earlier, we don't need to be the one to jump in and save it all and do it all, but we do need to be the one that comes in and provides some very specific expertise based on our individual business model and our individual skill set. That's something that I really want us all to be thinking about as we go through this is, hey, whatever I'm offering, it needs to be like my best stuff. We don't need to offer what Drew offers. We don't need to offer what someone else offers. It's like, hey, what do you offer as a business and how can you do it well? So that's just some background to what we'll dive into today. My personal experience with the broker, when I said I, sent out all those folders, I basically connected with 4 health insurance brokers personally, locally here. Currently, this year, I've signed $150,000 in renewal business from one broker relationship. Now, one of those contracts is a 12-month contract, one's a 24-month contract, but like one referral relationship brought my business 2 clients that I was able to renew for 150 grand in value just this year. So this stuff is like my bread and butter and how I feed my family. And that's why I want to teach you all too, because it's so supplemental to your business. Like I don't want anyone to go out tomorrow and think I need to earn every dollar of revenue off of workplace wellness, because it's a slow sales cycle and you're going to be disappointed at the end of September. But if you can go into this with the mindset of, okay, I've got, a core business of coaching or training or online training, whatever that is, and I'm going to supplement it with workplace wellness to fill, off hours, to earn more money per hour, that type of thing. So just wanted to share that to say, hey, this stuff works and it's worked for me. And I promise it can work for you too if you hit the ground running with these resources. So we've defined what a health insurance broker is. Again, it's someone who sells group health insurance to businesses, typically 50 or employees or more, because that's where we can really look at the wellness funds that fund our services. And then let's talk about, the workplace wellness resources that are available to these brokers. If you were to cold call 10 brokers and say, hey, do you need a new workplace wellness resource? They're probably going to say no. And here's why. There are dozens, hundreds, thousands of technology companies and vendors that sell to workplace wellness. And that's not to say that, it is a very crowded market, but it's not crowded in the services that we offer. So really identifying the gap in services for that individual broker is going to be extremely important. Some examples of this could be, they've got resources for online physical therapy. They've got resources for on-site health screenings. They've got resources for annual physicals. A gap would be, hey, do you offer a nutrition coaching program for employees who maybe don't have chronic disease yet? That's a huge gap because the health insurance companies will offer some type of free chronic disease prevention, like online program. And what they don't offer is someone that comes on site and delivers an inclusive coaching program that everyone can opt into that maybe has chronic disease or not. So that's a big gap. Another gap is fitness programming. Of course, there are online technologies for $20 a month that people can get a fitness program for, but they don't get a coach. So if you can identify a gap within your market and within that broker relationship, which we'll talk about developing here in a minute, and provide services in a way that's complementary, it's going to be a home run. Like think about companies that have a gym and no one's using it. We could offer a gym orientation where once a month we go on site, do a group setting orientation of the gym, and then employees who want to opt in to one-on-one coaching, so they have a workout to use at that gym, they can do so. So many different ways to do it, but it's on us as individual business owners to go in there and identify the gap and build that relationship. So I think that's pretty good for laying groundwork on what a broker is, kind of what those resources are. Really want you all thinking about your individual businesses and your best stuff. Now let's talk about what needs to be in place first. I have a horror story of what needs to be in place because when I was like probably 27 years old, I was out networking here in Phoenix and I had a website up. And that website wasn't complete all the way. One of the pages was like the template page and it had oil changes on there. So I was out there networking, trying to sell my workplace wellness services. And I shared it with someone and they're like, you also sell oil changes? Now I don't think it was a big deal, but gosh, I was like embarrassed for months. So I want you guys to think about getting these resources in place so you don't have to have that same experience I did. So first thing is we want a LinkedIn profile. The majority of people that I know who sell to businesses, like these health insurance brokers, they are on LinkedIn because you can search by location, you can search by job title, and it's a really easy place to promote your services and also find business opportunities. So make sure you have a LinkedIn profile set up. There's a whole bunch of tips on this page, so I'll make sure you all get this page, but basically, if you follow this, it'll go in and show you, set up your company page, make sure your branding's appropriate, make sure your website link's on there, all that good stuff. So make sure you have your LinkedIn profile set up. And then before I forget, let me get you all this link. But again, like I'm so adamant about LinkedIn because in my experience, it's where business to business sales happens. And it's how I've been able to stay in front of decision makers and, get their attention. So what needs to be in place before you implement this is LinkedIn profile setup. Second one I recommend is your outreach assets. So this is going to be the broker package that we shared in the Facebook group. But this stuff needs to be set up and customized to your business. So having a broker letter that's got your header on it, as well as like exactly what you do and how you help. Again, this needs to be customized to your business. But for example, let's say you're meeting a broker named John. It's like, Dear John, my business was formed with specific intention of helping people improve health and fitness through XYZ modalities. Then you can talk about how you'd like to form a strategic alliance with their group to serve their clients in a specific fashion. So if it's implement exercise programming, if it's do deep dive chronic disease management, like whatever it is you do, customize this to make it fit your market. And then executive summary, this is where you can dive into like what those classes are. This was all the National Corporate Fitness Institute certification stuff, which is still very valuable today. The difference is we need to customize for our business. So if you're not doing like fitness training anymore, take that off here. If you don't want to do lunch and learns, take that off here. If you're not looking to do on-site, like remove that, right? Like put it very specific. Like say you do specific type of nutrition coaching and a specific type of injury prevention, like plug that stuff in. And there's also our process. So this is like, you want to customize this to your business, but it's very much similar, garnering the support of what the organization needs, getting upper management buy-in, implementing or enhancing their wellness program. This is just your process. So say you're doing a group fitness and nutrition coaching program and people need 2 weeks to lead in. That's where you put those details. Is like, yeah, 2 weeks out, we send out the welcome email. We capture enrollment this way. People get this information, like that type of thing. And if that's not done yet for your business, like that's totally fine. You just need to be one step ahead of your buyer, right? So as you go through this package and customize it for your business, that's where you can really decide, like, how does my program work? Like, this is a great way to do that. And then on here, there's also 30-second commercial. This is really valuable for you all doing reach outs. Like think about, who the person is you're targeting and how do you introduce yourself to them? Just kind of talking about the frustration of work comp rates. If you're doing injury prevention, wellness committees are not on track because they're not doing what they said they're going to be doing. People aren't using the gym. People are not getting their annual health screening, high medication costs. Like insert the stuff that works for you and then create that 30-second commercial that you can, call someone on the phone and explain your services to them, share in group networking events, and really just feel confident when someone's like, hey, Kenji, what do you do? That we don't stutter and get all nervous about it. We've got something solid in place. So make sure, please, please, please go through these outreach assets, customize it for your business. And this can feel like a lot of work, right? Like, I got to do my LinkedIn profile. I got to do my outreach assets. It's all just blocks on the calendar. I've been like, workflow wise, I struggle with blocking stuff out that isn't like in-person interactive because I really enjoy this stuff. So doing things for me like cold calls, writing newsletters, those all get very overwhelming and I could like just put them on a to-do list and not make it happen. So how I think about it is if I were going to show up and train someone for an hour and they were paying me $100 for that hour, how would I treat that time? Same with this stuff. You need to set up your LinkedIn profile, block an hour on your calendar. Imagine someone was paying you to do it because once you get some leads, you will earn some money from doing it, and treat it no different than a face-to-face interaction with a client. Same with outreach assets. Those are essential though. Like have LinkedIn up, have your outreach assets up. That way you can start having conversations with people. Then I would dive into a Google business profile. So this is just mine. It's nothing fancy, but it's set up. Like that's all that matters, right? It's set up. If someone were to look me up today, they would know I'm an actual business and I'm not just Drew Marketing Workplace Wellness Services. Like just get this set up for yourself. It can be your home address. It can be a PO box, whatever. Just make sure it's done. And then website last. I think website is important, but your LinkedIn profile is way more essential on the front end. Your outreach assets are way more essential. Google business profile, way more essential. And then I think website last. And I say that because like I did the opposite, right? And I spent lots of years trying to get business opportunities and it wasn't working in a quick enough fashion for me to scale this stuff. So that's why I'm saying today, hey, focus on LinkedIn first, because that's where the people connections will happen. Outreach assets are what you need to send those folks. Then when they look you up, you'll be on Google, and then website is very like supplementary. All right. So what opportunities are available to connect to trusted professionals that sell to businesses? So again, we talk about brokers, right? Those are the people that sell health insurance, but there are other outlets too, people that do payroll, people that do property and casualty insurance, people that sell phone systems. Like there's all kinds of people that sell to businesses and that meet decision makers that are very much so qualified to hear about your services. Like that's all we're looking for here is letting our current client base know that we do more than just what we're serving them at initially. So the first place to look for people to work with businesses is certainly our current client base. And we can do that a couple different ways. One way that's worked really well for me, especially with good relationships, is let's say, you finish up a Zoom call with an online client, and you say, hey, Susan, love how much you're kicking butt. You're staying on track with your nutrition. You're doing your workouts. That's great. We're actually launching a new service in our business. Would it be okay if I shared that service with you? And then they're like, sure, yes, not a good time, whatever. I recommend finding those like best clients and then setting up a time to meet with them outside of their regular appointment, to have coffee, have lunch, buy them tacos, whatever works for you, but let them know about your new services. Let them know that you want to offer lunch and learns to businesses, and here's why. But don't get complacent with this current client base. A personal example, when I first started doing the business to business sales, I had a private client within a community who was like a 60-year-old golfer. He still worked in insurance. He did like my life insurance, so he wasn't a health insurance broker, but he got a membership at a private golf club nearby. And I thought to myself, oh, that's awesome. Like private golf club. I never really thought of that as a corporate client, but maybe it could be. So I was just asking some questions, and he's like, yeah, we just got new equipment at the golf club. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So I took it upon myself to call the general manager and just introduce myself. I had my 30-second commercial ready, and I used my client's name as credibility. So I was like, hey, general manager, my name's Drew. We help local businesses improve engagement in their fitness centers. I work with Lynn Hutchings, your member. Would that be of interest to you to learn how to get more engagement in your fitness center? And again, I led with value. I was confident on the services I could deliver on. And guess what? I got a meeting, and we now have a client. I just renewed their contract this summer too, and we did it for 2 years, and it's $53,000 per year. And we also get to market personal training to their members. So huge opportunity. But if I wouldn't have taken interest in my client on what they were up to outside of our little exercise date every week, I wouldn't have gotten that contract, and probably wouldn't be, talking to you all here about this stuff today. So definitely value those relationships that you have. Like we help people change their life outside of just fitness. So there's no reason we couldn't take 15, 20, 30 minutes of their time to educate them about our new stuff and then ask for their help. Okay. So that's where we're going to start, is our current client base, based on relationships, based on ways you can help. Second, get your LinkedIn profile done. That's a link to do a free audit if you want my help on like the specific things that you need to do, but make sure that is done. And here's why, right? Say you have a client list of 15 people right now. I promise if you look up those 15 people on LinkedIn, some of them, maybe 5, will have good information on where they work and like their job position, which is really good information for us if we're trying to get worksite wellness clients. Next place is B2B sales coffee connection groups. I've spent too much time in Chamber of Commerce. However, I think there are opportunities in leads groups and in coffee connections groups to grow this part of our business. Mistakes I've made in like in-person networking is not sharing the individual coaching that I offered. Like I was so focused on the workplace wellness stuff. So I would recommend in your area or online, find some coffee connections, networking groups to join, and be very strategic with what you're promoting and switch it up every week. Hey, this week I'm looking to serve 2 busy professionals who want to lose 10 pounds in the next 30 days. The following week, hey, I'm looking to connect with businesses who want to offer a complimentary 14-day fitness program to their employees, right? Just kind of switch off that 30-second commercial and leverage those connections in that group. And then direct to the business. I do this through Google. Just in the chat here, if anyone has done the business of the month strategy successfully, please just give me like a thumbs up or something in the chat. I wanna know more about that. Because when we go business of the month direct to business, we have two different options. One is like, hey, decision maker, I'm offering businesses in our area a free workplace wellness thing. Could be a workshop, could be a challenge, could be a meal mapping guide, right? But you're offering it to the employees at large. And then you say, your business is the business of the month this month, and here's how you roll this out to your people. So that's like a group company offering. The other option for direct to business is like, hey, business, I'm a coach and we do nutrition and fitness coaching, and I would love to send a gift card for you to send out to your employees to experience a 14-day free trial in our coaching program. So it's like, it's two opportunities. It's get the company to experience what you do, if that's the route you want to go. And the second opportunity is to get the people within that company to experience what you do and get the company to send it out on your behalf. Both solid. I think the one that is underutilized is the second one, where we get that company to send out, our information on their behalf. And again, questions, drop them in the chat. Happy to collect those all at the end. What types of services should you offer? Again, when I first started doing this stuff, it was very much so group on-site exercise. And the pitch was save time, save money, reduce health claims, like all that good stuff. That's important. And obviously through the pandemic and my business experience, I deemed like, yes, that is one solution, but it cannot be the solution that we all hang our hats on. Like, we need different stuff to appeal to different folks. So in regards to what services you should offer, it's most certainly, what are you the best at? Like, if you hate public speaking, don't offer lunch and learns, because you're not going to deliver at a level that, you're proud of. If you don't like doing one-on-one coaching, don't offer one-on-one coaching. But those services, I promise, what you guys offer within your business, there's a model within Workplace Wellness to make it fit. Be that, 30-minute health coaching sessions, be that group movement assessments, like whatever it is, there's a way to deliver it, and you can be really strategic on the tools that you use. And I think all of us got like a master's degree in hybrid training over the pandemic to figure out how to get people resources and whatnot. So I think there are lots of ways to do it. And then let's think about what is scalable in a group format. So, if you do high touch one-on-one personal training, maybe doing a whole bunch of one-on-one sessions for a company isn't your best fit, but maybe doing a monthly educational session at their fitness facility and then inviting those folks into your facility could be a good fit. And if you literally just take that one strategy and implement it in your business, like, this is well worth your time. Because think about bringing on new clients every month, like even just our one-on-one clients or small group clients. If we could find a strategy that predictably brings us like 4 new clients a month when we run that strategy, like, that's a home run. I'm sure you all have like Facebook ads and all that fun stuff going on, but those are, in my experience, very like catch all and then just capture a few. Whereas if we're deploying a business of the month strategy and using our referral partners, they know us better. We're staying in front of them. They know people that can use our services, and it's going to compound over time versus trying to find a whole bunch of new people that may be interested each and every month. And then another thing I think we can all offer is just growing our core program. Whatever that program is, you can essentially offer a complimentary workshop to a business where, if your core program is like a 12-week transformation, maybe you offer a masterclass similar to this on nutrition for busy professionals, right? And you just go offer 10 businesses that free workshop. Their job is to fill it up for you. You deliver, and then all those people know about your business after that. So again, it's not always, hey, how do I get some big contract from these companies? That could be a viable resource, sure. but let's not miss all these quick win opportunities to help get us new clients each and every month. All right, we're going to go on to sales cycle, because in my experience, us as fitness professionals don't necessarily do long sales cycles like people in the B2B world do. In our world, we send out an email, get a couple people interested, and we kind of go about our day. Do a Facebook ad, get a couple people interested, kind of go about our day. When we think about corporate sales cycles, companies typically do annual budgeting. And what that means is once a year, they decide on how much money they can dedicate to wellness programs. So typically companies run from like a July through June fiscal year. Sometimes it's January through December. It varies based on when they started their company, when they file their taxes, and when they do their health insurance renewal. So those are big like variables. But the more we can connect with workplace wellness professionals who manage wellness programs and or referral partners like brokers who sell to these folks, the more opportunities we have to be put in that conversation on an annual basis. So like I shared earlier, health insurance carriers are responsible to give their clients wellness funds. They do that once a year. So if a company gets, $50,000 per year, they're going to be spending money on incentives. They're going to spend money on like a wellness fair. Maybe they do wellness committee, like lunches they're spending money on, and they need to spend that money by the end of the year. That way they can go say, hey, here's what we spent our money on. Here were the wellness outcomes, right? Be that screenings, be that, surveys, whatever. And then they're going to have their broker say, and we want, 15% more money next year so we can do X, Y, Z. So even if you can get yourself in the conversation like the year before, you're at least going to be considered for those services. Me personally, here locally, I'm promoting a Nutrition OS coaching program for corporate wellness. It's 8 weeks. You can get unlimited amount of employees in that coaching program, and the price tag is $5,000. So right now, I've got to find companies who $5,000 is not a big lift for them because they've already got existing wellness programs and they already have things going on. But my job is to show them why the Nutrition OS program is a better solution than whatever their online portal is providing or whatever their local resource is providing. But like I'm having conversations in August and September for January, February, March of next year. And I've got to be okay with that because that's how it works, right? Those are those annual sales cycles that we deal with in corporate. That's not to say that someone couldn't get an idea and, bring you in with an additional budget or something, but like we've got to be okay with that if you want to pursue this market. That's why having a solid like B2C business initially is so important. So you can turn on that lever and say, hey, if I need to get 5 more clients this month, I'm not relying on these annual sales cycles to, make sure that I'm getting new business. I have a quick question that I want to address is what are the big movers to prove brokers and insurances that company is making a headway and deserves more funding? Great question. So the number one thing in Arizona that health insurance carriers are looking for is engagement in your annual physical and relationship with your primary care doctor. So companies will spend the entire year promoting an annual physical and a follow-up with a primary care doctor, and they'll give their employees like they call it wellness credits for that. Hey, get your health screening by November 30th and we'll give you $300 on your paycheck back. So that's a huge one, is utilization there. Second is going to be utilization of mental health resources. So if a company has invested in an EAP and they're getting good engagement there, that's going to say, hey, we've got, some good engagement with what we're doing. We would like to do more and we need more budget. Now, me personally, my business model has shifted to more of a consultation approach where I'm helping employers like get out their annual health screening, market their financial wellness resources, get the mental health benefits in front of their people. That is certainly a business model, much longer sales cycles and kind of a lot of different scope of work for us. But those are the things that you want to be asking your brokers when you meet with them is like, on average, what percentage of your client groups engage in an annual physical? Great. How do you promote that out? And then it's like, well, what's the follow-up after the physical, right? If people don't have a program or a coach or something to plug into, they're not gonna do well. So if you come across a company who gets 10 grand for wellness and they're using it all on promoting their annual physical and their health fair and it's working, you could obviously ask, what would it take to implement a coaching program for these people that looks like X, right? So it's making sure that they're using their insurance. It's making sure that those wellness resources are being spent. And also companies who hire people like us are paying attention to that. So that's a really good filter when we're doing our prospecting. If a company doesn't know about their annual physical, their wellness budget, and they're like the HR director, that's a big red flag to say, this person they're not prioritizing a wellness program already. So why it's not worth my time to go, pounding on the door to try to bring my stuff in if they're not doing that foundational work. So great question. And again, we're really just trying to make sure, a wellness budget exists and there's someone in charge of it. When companies do have a wellness program, they typically meet monthly or quarterly. So those are opportunities for us to plug in and share our executive summary and just, be a resource. And what I've noticed with the decision maker workflow is like, these people are extremely busy and they very much do things on a day-to-day basis. So things like, compulsive buying and stuff that we might experience in the B2C market are not the same in corporate. And we've got to kind of give them the time and space that it takes for them to actually meet with their committee, talk about what's going on, and follow up. And to give you context on timelines, like if I were to meet a new person today, had a really good conversation about their wellness budget, about what they're currently doing, and then I was going to send them a follow-up tomorrow, and I didn't hear back for like another week, that's fine. I would call them at the end of that week and say, hey, I just wanted to make sure you received my information and if you had an update for me. And based on that conversation, I'm going to just move the ball down the field. And they're like, you know what, Drew, I haven't got a chance to share it with my VP yet, but we're meeting next week. And I would say, great. So next week, that's like the 15th. Would it be okay if I follow up with you on the 21st? So like if we think about the timeline, that's about like 2 or 3 weeks before I even get an answer on if they've reviewed my paperwork yet, right? But that's how we kind of need to be thinking in regards of a sales cycle and workflow. A quick question for small companies: who is the decision maker for wellness funds? Typically, in my experience, companies with 100 or less people, they have an HR person or HR department, and that person is responsible. If they don't have an HR department, it's typically like the general manager or sometimes even the CEO and owner. But those people will likely rely on a broker too. So finding out, who they work with, who they purchase their health insurance through is very important. And also looks good on our end to the decision maker. Like if we approached a local company with say, 35 employees and we're talking to the CEO, don't put it on their plate to get you all this information. Like ask them, hey, who handles your health insurance? I have some questions for them. Could you make an introduction? That way, you're already adding value there. All right. So the sales cycle stuff can seem very negative, right? Like it's kind of, I said, hey, it's going to take a long time. You got to have a current book of business to make sure you're not relying on new workplace wellness leads every month. Then why do it, right? Well, like I shared with you all, annual agreements are awesome because you can, one, like predict your income just as you could if you were doing annual B2C client agreements, but you can also predict like your workflow. Like if hey, I've got, these 2 annual agreements in place, the challenges kick off these months and these months. It's just more predictability on both your workflow and your income. So I think that's a huge win. In my world, like we're having a baby number 3 in November, and I've just like locked down our last client renewal for this year. And it makes me feel really good that quarterly payment's going to be coming in the same quarter that we're having a new baby versus me having to hit the ground running, selling a whole bunch of smaller stuff that month. And obviously, like I've had to, hire some help and have a team help me with that stuff. So it's not all on my plate, but those annual agreements allow for the planning and for the revenue to do that. And then more eyes on your services. Like if you do webinars and Facebook Lives today, there's no reason you couldn't go replicate that same model for companies and educate, share your stuff, and then offer some help for those people. So again, more eyes on your core services, I think is a good model to focus on the business of the month as well as the broker referral stuff. That's another thing with like the broker referrals is we can absolutely be a free resource to their clients. So if I'm a health insurance broker selling to businesses and I know someone who provides a great education on, let's say, office ergonomics, like that's awesome for my clients. So I can say, hey, clients, so we can send out an email to all clients. Hey, I've got a great resource that does a 45-minute on-site education on ergonomics. Is this something you all would like to offer to your employees? And again, it might be like a free workshop on the front end, or maybe it's paid. But that's the idea, is like, how can you be a really valuable resource to these people that are already helping businesses? Another upside is higher per hour rate. I don't know. I mean, some fitness professionals do a really good job with personal training revenue, right? And it may not be that much bigger of a hourly rate, but in my world, I charge like $100 per hour for personal training, and corporate stuff is typically billed at $149 to $199 per hour. So it is higher and it is in bulk, right? Like if you've got specific scope of work you're doing for people, you're going to be able to block out, that estimated hourly time over the month and get a higher hourly rate. I'm not saying you need to share that hourly rate with your clients, but as you're putting together your scope of work, just make sure it's like at least, 125% of what your individual service rates are. And then another upside is just opportunity to fill off hours for you and your team. Initially, when I started doing workplace wellness, like lunchtime on-site boot camps were really popular. So I don't know about you all, but like most gyms are not busy at lunch. So that's a good time to get your people off site to go and do some on-site training. Also to do some education. I don't think we need to like take people's lunch hour to do this stuff, but typically, midday is when people get gaps. So that can be like a training program that maybe you offer at your facility just for busy professionals in the area, or it could be you going into work sites as well. Last year, I did run a program called the Movement Break Program, where here in my office on Zoom twice a week, I did like posture, really simple, like cars, shoulder stuff. It was just a 15-minute movement break, and I was selling it as like a program. So people would get 8 sessions per month. All their employees could access. I did it through Zoom webinar, and that was a really good stint for me. I think over last year, we did like 12 grand in sales on the Movement Break program, and it built my email list for the B2C stuff a ton because everyone was opting in for the education. So there are things you can do to sell to businesses that you're already doing, just in more of a group and leveraged fashion. So don't think it's got to be on-site or anything like that. There are lots of options here in regards to how to fill those off hours in your current business. All right. Why would your new referral partner choose you? First one is professionalism. I was at the Arizona SHRM conference last week with a whole bunch of vendors, right? Like I probably have the lowest budget out of any of those vendors. They were doing booths, they were doing happy hour, all kinds of stuff. And people just weren't that friendly, and they weren't personable. And to me, when you're not friendly and you're not personable, you can't come off as professional. So it's like, hey, treat the janitor and the CEO with the same mannerisms. Make sure to show up on time. Make sure the deliverables that you said you're going to deliver are delivered on time. Those simple things are like what the majority of the workforce isn't doing right now. And obviously, all of us as independent business owners, we've got to show up a little higher level each and every week to maintain our business. And those things will like put you ahead of the pack in regards to connecting with referral partners. It's crazy. Like send out a weekly email newsletter. Huge, right? That's going to be a big thing to stay in front of these people. And they're not seeing that from other vendors. Other vendors are trying to sell technology. They're trying to meet with like as many people as they can per day. and they don't have like their heart in it as we do as independent business owners, right? So that's a big perk is professionalism. I think back to this Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher talk that I went to, like, feels like 10 years ago now, but he had like this big board and it was like the 10 controllables. And it was all the things that I just mentioned: be on time, say what you said you were going to do, treat everyone with respect. Like, those are missing in workplace wellness and in B2B sales. So let's be good humans and show up and do it. Second one is boots on the ground presence. It's crazy, but a lot of these vendors that are like leading the market in Phoenix don't even have a sales rep here. So if you can show up, take someone to lunch, take someone to coffee, actually shake a hand, there's lots of upside to doing that. People are going to trust you more, and you're going to stay more top of mind. Another thing too that just came to me is like, so again, we want to sell to companies that have existing wellness programs because it's a faster sales cycle than helping a company start one from the ground up. When a company has an existing wellness program, they typically do wellness fairs, like a health fair. And that's a great way to set up a booth and promote your individual business and also test the waters on a group offering. So one of the clients I'm supporting this year, they want to do mental health workshops and low impact stretch sessions at their health fair, which I think is great, right? But it's like, cool, now we're kind of bringing back on-site exercise. Let's test it out post-pandemic, see how it goes. There's no reason that can't be your only offer, right? Like, if you just showed up at a health fair once a month to get new B2C leads, and then potentially that company hires you for a 30-minute low-impact stretch for people to experience your work, like, that's a huge win. So don't think that just because, I go try to get contracts and stuff, that has to be your operating system. You can certainly take this stuff and make it work in a way that you can get out the door like this month. So whatever that is, let's get it implemented, but make sure it's something that you can deliver on and that you feel confident in doing. Okay, another reason that they would choose us is identifying a clear gap in their client resources. One of the companies I support here, they do a lot of lunch and learns, and the provider of the lunch and learn is a company called US Wellness. And it's always like clinical based. It's like lower your cholesterol, like nutrition for diabetics, like things that aren't necessarily appealing to the average busy professional who just wants to get healthy. So asking those questions on like low back pain, fitness, fat loss, like things that we help as fitness professionals, like that's a big gap. So make sure we're able to identify that gap. That way, when those brokers are meeting with their clients and the clients are saying, yep, we've got a resource for this, this, and this, but I wish we could do X, they know that you're a solution. And then strong personal relationships. Like, I think that is the most important thing of anything I shared today, was like, build those strong relationships, share how you're going to help businesses, and let the people that you're already helping be of support to you. But we have to make sure like we're not putting expectations on them. So for example, if you've got 5 clients and 2 of them are HR directors at a company, we can't expect that just because that person is your client and because you've helped them lose 40 pounds, that they need to hire you for their workplace wellness program. We just can't do that. What we can do is put in the work by getting them the resources, taking them out to lunch, and just sharing how we can help, and then moving on to the next. I remember when I first started doing this in 2016, I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's like a great book, but all I could think about was $20,000 contracts, and I was discounting all the other relationships I had in place. So make sure that you're still a people person and that you're focused on, of course, growing your business, but doing so in a tactful way. Man. Couple more things. B2B sales cycle tips: always track leads and prospects. I do that. I used to do it with Pipedrive. There's all HubSpot's a free CRM, but we have to track it because it's a long sales cycle, and these things do not go, we're not going to remember every single lead. So track it, use something to track it, track activity and engagement. So if you're making phone calls, sending LinkedIn messages, like track those outcomes. Send a weekly newsletter at a minimum to stay top of mind. You can do that through email as well as through LinkedIn. Schedule monthly check-in calls with warm prospects. That is huge. I've really tried to build my network with wellness coordinators here in Arizona. And like, I want to make sure that I'm calling them every month just to see what they're up to, how things are going, and if I can be a resource of any way. And I'll tell you what, like, phone calls work. Like, phone calls work. If you think people are ignoring your stuff, try to give them a call, see what happens. Don't get tied down to verbal commitments. Again, like, I'm all too guilty of, hey, I had this great conversation. This person said X, and I'm already like doing the math on what my income will be. It doesn't work like that. Definitely focus on, building those relationships, but we've got to get to a purchase order to actually do business. And then focus on developing new leads and relationships weekly. A new lead is just, someone you met that gave you permission to follow up with them. And those relationships are really going to come about from having coffee with your current clients, networking in the B2B world through coffee connection groups. And I think, LinkedIn and Google is a great way to do that as well. So broker meeting framework. This is like, hey, you found a broker in your area. That's something I want you all to do as well. Like, pull up Google and group health insurance broker, my area, and you'll find a whole bunch. So we want to outreach with genuine interest in them, in their business. You can use that broker package assets to do that. Learn what their current clients do for wellness programs. Like, I would very much so take this as, hey, I'm doing some research and development, and I'm trying to find out what companies in my area are doing for workplace wellness, and have those brokers tell you. And then finally, ask them what type of resources they think their clients would appreciate. So it's very much so, hey, I'm generally interested in what you all do. Hey, I'd love to learn what your current clients are doing, because I'm going to do this as well as a service in my business. And then ask them, if you could make your clients' wellness dreams come true, what would need to be, what kind of services would they need to have access to? Like, what would be in place? Like, those are all really good fact-finding tools there. So action plan, we'll save time for questions, but LinkedIn profile set up and optimized. I highly recommend that, because all B2B sales folks are on there. Make sure your outreach assets are complete. So get the things that we went through in this package done. Google business profile set up. I highly recommend that as well. Doesn't take very long. So again, block those times out on the calendar as you would a training session. And then your weekly outreach plan, I think, is 2 clients. Like, hey, how can you have an offline conversation with 2 clients about the new revenue stream in your business? 10 new connections. So that could be direct businesses on Google. That could be LinkedIn connections to those brokers. And then 2 decision makers. And that could be, pulling them off of some type of lead source online. Your client could tell you, hey, our HR person handles that. But I really think this format of 2 client reach outs, 10 new connections, and 2 decision makers per week will help you get some results. And again, think about, longer sales cycles, lots of activity on the front end, and those outcomes will come. So I'm going to stop talking now and see if y'all have any questions. Like questions or concerns, or, hey, what if this happens? Jack, go ahead. Thanks.
How's it going? So it's not really too often that you're actually working with insurance companies themselves, correct?
Ask it one more time. I'm sorry.
How is it? Are you often working with actual insurance companies themselves, or working more so with the broker who then connects you with the business?
Great question. So, some insurance companies have wellness engagement consultants, like Cigna has a bunch of those here. And that's an option, because wellness engagement consultants manage individual wellness programs. But like, if we think about a book of business, a health insurance broker will likely have like 50 plus clients with all different insurance types. Whereas that engagement consultant for Cigna will have maybe like 10 clients with one type of insurance. So I think they're both very valuable. But I would start with the brokers first, because you can even say, hey, which one of your clients use Cigna and have these engagement consultants in place? So I say both for sure, but brokers first and then the carrier.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Jeff wants to know, how many group insurance brokers am I actively with? Well, like right now, none of mine are giving me referrals. Like it's very much so on me to stay in front of them and educate them on what I'm working on. So I've got 4 in like my Rolodex that, you know, I can count on bringing our services to the conversation. And I used to think that you had to only work with one because they were all competitors. And I recently got over that, and I'm realizing like, no, it's a more broader scale thing. So I think just a couple is fine, but making sure that like they get an email from you every month, you've actually had a conversation with them about their clients, like that type of stuff. So if you can develop one relationship a month, I think it'll be good for you. Anyone else? I know Agnes is on here, and she's had some success and runs a full-fledged workplace wellness business. So Agnes, if you can share anything that maybe I missed on the broker side or sales cycle side, I would appreciate it.
I mean, honestly, I have not worked that much with the brokers just yet. I mostly really just reach out to my connections on LinkedIn. I mean, I mostly work with law firms. I'm in DC area, so they're all here. Everybody's a lawyer in DC. So that's really it. I mean, I'm kind of still trying the broker thing, so this was very helpful, Drew. Thank you. I'm gonna work on this a little bit more, but honestly, it's like Drew said, you know, this is not going to be like a quick sale or anything. It for some firms, I mean, it's taken me over a year, sometimes 2, you know, actually to make a small sale, and then they kind of get a little bit warmed up and then go from there. But it's the hard part is not just saying it's like, well, the hell with it, you know, it's like these guys are not interested, let me move on. I have done that before in the very beginning, and then, you know, but it's really just a follow-up. And I mean, nobody really likes to feel that they're being sold to, right? So some freebies are good. I think if you guys are, any of you are in Alicia Strager's group, if you subscribe to her monthly thing where she has like a little newsletter with like a little lead generator, lead magnets, I offer those to my clients. So it's like a little one pot meals, you know, easy things like that, you know, that they can distribute to their clients. And I attach my info on the back page where they know if they want to contact me privately that they can do that. And that's how I've gotten a couple of people in my individual 90-day program. And, you know, just be patient with them. That's really it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Agnes. I appreciate it. Yeah, so it's certainly patience. It's very different than what we're used to in like, hey, I need 3 new clients this month type thing. But I really think it's a good way to, you know, supplement your business. And Greg Justice, who mentored me on this stuff initially, he used to always say like, it's put my kids through college money. And that really motivated me, right? Like, how do I create a revenue stream that can help me invest in things that, you know, maybe wouldn't be possible. So I appreciate you all being here. I know this was a lot of info. I'm going to make sure so that Google Doc is there in the chat. I'll post it again. Also put together a little feedback survey. So if you don't mind knocking that out, just let me know what you thought of today. That would be awesome. So that's there in the chat. And then I'll make sure this Google Doc is here too. Yeah, thank you, everyone. I'll hang out for a few if there are individual questions, but if not, have an awesome week and get this stuff rolling, okay?
Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Drew.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you, Drew.
You're welcome.
Hey,
Question.
dude, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Um, I was a
Excellent.
bit, I was a bit late initially for the start, so apologies for that. In terms of brokers, are you talking insurance brokers within a company like health insurance, and they've taken on the contract for the corporate company?
Yeah, great question. So it's group. So health insurance brokers can be anyone that sell like car insurance, all that stuff. The ones that we're
Okay.
after are group health insurance brokers that specifically sell group insurance to companies. So like if I were a broker, my clients would be a corporation, and I usually work with HR or the CFO, and my job is to go find what like health insurance plans are best fit for that company.
Yeah. Okay, no, because I was looking at in terms of when you were saying brokers in my head, I was like, okay,